Welcome to Adventures in Accessibility, a podcast that explores the far reaches of disability, access, and inclusion, with your host, Tess Stanton.
Nate Simon is a 20-year-old young entrepreneur, and Holly is his mom. Nate is a gold medalist for the Special Olympics, a model, and has a role in an up-and-coming movie. With hundreds of thousands of followers, or at Make Nate the Great, is known as the king of TikTok. Nate is also the CEO of a clothing company called 21 Pineapples. Through 21 Pineapples, Nate and Holly's mission is to spread love and change the way others see disabilities, one funky shirt at a time. Hi, Holly and Nate. I am so excited to have you here today and so excited to meet you both. Thank you so much for being here. I want to start out this recording just by asking you if you could tell our listeners more about what 21 Pineapples is and the inspiration behind it.
You got it. You want to start it?
You can.
It's funny, when he was born and they told me he might not speak, now he never stops. But whenever he's put on the spot, he's like, no, Ma, you can. But I know you'll have plenty to say, right? Right? Okay. Well, Nate is my fifth child born with Down syndrome. And when he was born, the doctors and the nurses told me that they were sorry, and that's still happening in our world. So within those minutes of meeting Nate and realizing there was nothing to be sorry about, I realized we needed a lot of education tests out there. We needed to really change the narrative of every child with a disability. So I started a foundation actually back then called I Am Who I Am. And that was to educate doctors and nurses on saying congratulations and treating our kids like everybody else. And we did great. And we've made gigantic strides. But something that a lot of people don't know is that when kids like Nate age out of school, there's nothing left. There's no programs. And so I was getting all these parents. Nate is now how old?
I am 20.
Yeah. And I get these parents saying, what are my kids going to do? And I thought, there's got to be more. We've got to have opportunities. So literally, TikTok brought us some incredible people into our lives, friends, right?
Yes.
And they fell so madly in love with Nate's genuine love that I knew we had something special. So after a trip to LA,
yes,
where we met a big TikToker by the name of Ed Dudes, Nate actually got him crying over talking about changing the world. And this gentleman, who I actually adore, was so enamored by the simplicity of the message that I came home from that trip and said, that's it. We're going to do more. We need to do more. And literally within 24 hours, 21 Pineapples was born. We decided to do a Hawaiian shirt company because Nate loves funky clothing. His shirt now, it just says one word, love. Because when people ask him a question, Tess, it's not rehearsed. The answer 9 out of 10 times is just love, because that's how we raised him and that's how he is.
yes.
So we started this company for Nate to be the CEO of something bigger than anyone has seen before. Okay. So we'll change the narrative for all the parents out there to raise the bar, and teachers and doctors and nurses. Raise the bar. Don't tell me my child can work in a factory. Don't tell me let my child achieve greatness. So we created 21 Pineapples, almost like a business card. Wear a funky shirt with a message on it. And people will say, which they do, our best-selling shirt is what one? Do you know?
Be a good human.
Be a good human. And people will always write us and say, and I mean, hundreds of thousands of people will say, I get stopped everywhere I go when I wear this shirt. And then I can tell the story. I can tell the story that this young man started it, happens to have Down syndrome. And then the movement has begun. Okay. So we took something simple as a shirt, put a Nateism on it, something that Nate says on a daily basis. People fell in love with him and his purity and his beauty, and then realized, hey, wait a minute. Our kids can be more than that. So in his first year, tell her what you hit in sales.
2 million in sales.
Wow.
For us, we put the money back into the company. I don't want anybody to think I can go buy anybody a Lamborghini, and that's what my biggest fear was. But the hundreds and thousands of people from all over the world that we hear from daily has blown my mind. Like, I knew we were going to do good, but I never in a million years thought that 2 million in sales equated to about 100,000 orders, which means 100,000 people are talking about us. So we hear from people from Australia,
yes,
from Brazil, wanting to know more about the message and what they can do to help. It's been something that only a mother could dream of. But Nate's got 4 siblings that are behind him too, and a million friends that are behind the mission of love,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What do you like most about 21 Pineapples?
I just like the Hawaiian shirts.
I know, they're pretty cool.
Yes.
If this was live, you could put one on.
Right.
And he helps design them. So Nate's the CEO. He's the CEO of his own company. What does that mean? He answers questions. He is the face. We do public speaking around the world. He gets up in front of thousands of people and spreads his message. And what is your message? Tell Tess a little bit more.
Well, I'm actually the king of TikTok, and I have lots of followers
Why do you think though?
because of my love.
It helps that you're cute.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that sets 21 Pineapples apart from other retailers is it's so much more than clothing. And it is. It's beautiful clothing everyone wants to wear, but it's a message. You know, you kept saying
100%.
that I just think is remarkable so that when people wear these clothes, first of all, they know that they look good, but they also know that they're spreading something bigger.
Again, like you sit back and you dream of things like this as a parent, you know, our kids don't usually have a voice or a face in the world. And now we use only models with disabilities on our campaigns. Our goal, we just started a 501c3, which now we have two entities. We have the LLC, which is I call the business card where people can talk. And then we just started the non-for-profit. So we can now start to employ as many kids as possible. That's my goal. So when a parent says, what can my child do? I can say, I'll find out. I'll figure something out and I'll do it.
And something that, you know, I noticed also that sets 21 Pineapples apart is you all walk the walk when it comes to inclusivity. And your size inclusivity is something that it's not something everyone's doing, but it's something that you do so well. So I want to know what led to that. What was the catalyst in that just size inclusion?
Well, that's such an interesting question because somebody like me would think, well, why not? Like, how is that even a question, right? Why would that even be a question?
Sure.
But about a year or two ago, Nate was actually walking through Target and saw a young girl with Down syndrome on a little billboard. And he was with his sister, remember?
Yeah.
And what did you say when you saw the girl?
She looks like me.
That TikTok went viral. And I remember thinking, why does it have to be the abnorm to have a child with Down syndrome displaying clothes? Why does he have to be so shocked by it? So to be inclusive to me means literally every single solitary person on the planet that doesn't feel like they fit inside the box has a place with us.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I don't know how many people, even at my age, that feel like around the square peg and we're square, we fit right, whatever that saying is. I'm saying we're all different. You know, we're all that square peg trying to fit in that round hole. And we all need a place to be seen, to be heard, to feel included. I mean, again, we speak on this and I'm always surprised when people get that aha moment like, oh, wow, you mean I should employ people with disabilities? Yeah. And then they'll say, why? And let me tell you, Tess, you know what my answer is? Why not? Don't ask why. Ask why not? Because there's no reason why you wouldn't employ Nate. You're going to get nonstop happiness, love. He's going to compliment you all the time. He's going to be funny. He's going to change his mind 300 times in 5 minutes.
Yes.
What's your favorite food today?
Well, fried calamari.
Oh, that's good. That usually is something, but it usually changes as the day goes on. Why not have people be seen? Now, Tess, there are hundreds of thousands of other disabilities that are smaller than Down syndrome, meaning their community is smaller. That doesn't mean they don't need the same representation. That doesn't mean that they don't need that same billboard. So when Nate was a baby, my other children modeled when they were young. And I called the agent and I said, you know, I've got this beautiful blue-eyed baby. And they said, we're not ready for that yet. So that was 19 years ago, 18 years ago. I said, what do you mean you're not ready for that yet? She said, well, if Nate modeled for, let's say, an aspirin, people might think that if they use the aspirin, they'll get Down syndrome. Oy vey, what a lesson was I hit with in the head. So all these things that people could take negative, I took them as like learning and teaching moments for me. And that we have to take the stigma of it being bad or wrong because Down syndrome rocks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Tell us like all the cool things that you've done.
Well, I hit 80,000 followers.
All by yourself. How about the celebrities you met? Who's that?
Lady Gaga, Mark Wills, and Garth Brooks.
Yeah, and you were just in a music video.
Yes.
Yeah, what was it?
About a song about Don't Laugh at Me.
Called Don't Laugh at Me. You were the lead actor in the music video.
Yes.
And you're going to be in what this summer?
in a movie,
Gonna be in a movie.
I win.
Leading role. Why not? Why not? So I've spent my entire 20 years breaking glass ceilings, or at least trying to, shattering them. And I was just on TikTok Live just before we got on, and a mom said, a young man made an ignorant comment. And this mom of a Down syndrome child said to me, this is why I don't put my daughter out there. And I said, great teaching moment. He's the one that we need to pity. He's the one missing out. You don't hide your child from reality. We know not everybody's going to be nice. Tess, you and I know not everybody's going to like us. I mean, why wouldn't they? But, that's reality. So I can't expect any different treatment. If he's nice, you should be nice back. If you're not nice, you're going to get bounced off my life. But to these moms that are afraid, we understand, but then we're not moving forward if we don't try harder and push our kids out to the forefront. No one else is doing it for us.
Yeah. And I want to, touch again on that why not statement, and including people with disabilities in all areas of media, employment, not just to check a box. People with disabilities add value.
Yeah. Well, Tess, how about just the simple fact that people with disabilities are people first? They're just people. And there was a huge movement years ago to make sure when you vocalized it, you put the person first, like Nate with Down syndrome, not, and even I falter sometimes. I mean, I falter. We're human. But the point is, we need to stop thinking about hiring someone with a disability. We hire the person that's right for the job. If they have a disability, that's great. If they don't, that's great too. It's touchy subject, but it goes the same thing with size, religion, political beliefs, color, race. We're not supposed to look at that. We're supposed to look at the human, not something that is out of their control or what he was born as. He's born as a human being, a little boy, a beautiful little boy that has grown into a magnificent young man. So the why not is so profound, because it shouldn't even be on the table.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't be at all of these speaking gigs. Don't get me wrong. I do love them. Where we went to HR saying we need more employed. I do feel as though the world is still afraid. We're afraid of differences, right?
Yes.
Hypothetically, we were at the theater the other night, and I asked the woman if there was an accessible bathroom, and she said no. And I said, geez, ma'am, in today's society, how does someone in a wheelchair come to the theater if it's not handicap accessible? And she goes, yeah, she's like, tell me about it. And then it just, then my brain goes for weeks on end on all the people out there that don't have access to things that we take for granted. And there needs to be loud advocates out there saying that it's just not acceptable. And our world has come so far. What are we in 2023? It's about time that we include everyone in everything, to lose the stigma, to lose the fear.
Yes.
And one way is to ask questions. So like, Nate, what's your favorite color?
Green.
Oh, good one today. How about your favorite movie?
The Hulk.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Favorite actress?
You.
I love that answer.
I'll take it. But I mean, so start the conversation by just asking a question, and then you'll realize, wait a minute, we have more alike than we don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I bet he's bowled higher than most people out in the audience.
I am.
Yeah. What'd you get? What's your big high score a couple weeks ago?
215.
235.
235.
How many medals do you have?
Over 1 million.
Yep. Over 1 million gold medals. In what sports?
Golfing and bowling.
You have more than that though.
Right.
What are they?
Basketball and swimming.
Gymnastics.
Yes.
Powerlifting.
Yes.
Snowshoe.
Yes.
Just like everybody else.
Yes.
But he could probably whip butt in golf with a lot of people.
Right.
But if you didn't ask, you wouldn't know. And that's so important.
Certainly could whip my butt, because my golf skills are way down below the floor. So
I only like to drive the golf cart. So Tess, I'm with you. I have no desire, none. But so 21 Pineapples came on as something for Nate to do. And then we realized that the message and the mission was so much larger than us. And then when we saw the country or the world actually embrace us and want more, we were so humbled and never shocked, just proud, so proud, because there's so many amazing kids and adults out there that have felt unseen. It's amazing.
Yeah. And at the time we're recording this, World Down Syndrome Day is coming up on March 21st. So I wanted to ask you about your 321 collection at 21 Pineapples.
Well, we have a brand new collection,
Yeah.
321. What are we doing on 321? Do you remember?
No.
We're going to be on TV.
Yeah.
It's so casual for Nate. He's like, whatever. And so 321 is so important. Okay. So the kids here's why, which again, people are going to be like, oh, I didn't even think about it. So Nate carries an extra 21st chromosome. Okay. So on 321, we celebrate all kids around the world with Down syndrome. Now, we also have October, which is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. But on this one day, we ask people to step back. And actually, our friend John with John's Crazy Sock has come up with where two mismatched socks start a conversation. And then that represents the oddity of the 21st chromosome, the two mismatched socks. So think about it. The only thing that makes Nate different is an extra 21st chromosome.
Yes.
That's it. So he's more alike than he's different. So on 321 and up leading to it, I love these mamas that do these, you can go from any angle, from, the joyous to the sad, to the fact that we do get bullied in our community. But it's a time to really think about what makes him different, what makes him tick. Like I said, Tess, earlier, there are countries that have decided to abort all kids with Down syndrome. That's a statistic that you can look up on Google. It's absolutely shocking. And people always ask me why. I don't know why, because if they met Nate, they would change their mind. But again, we have to just get rid of the fear of being different. And the fact that where's Nate's life going to take him in the next 20 years? I don't know. I don't know about mine. I have 4 other kids. I don't know where they're going to be in 20 years. Hopefully still the CEO of your amazing company.
Yes.
Probably hanging out in Hollywood with celebrities.
Yes.
Name a couple that you've recently met that you talked to. See if she knows them.
David Dobrik.
Absolutely. Who doesn't know David Dobrik?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you ask him for?
A Lamborghini.
What did he say?
He said we're going to be friends.
Said he'll work on the car, but they'll be friends first.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the point. Nate was the lead model in LA Fashion Show last year, LA Fashion Week, and designers are finally seeing the beauty. There's such beauty and diversity. One thing I also like to fight for are the kids with autism, because autism doesn't have a face all the time. So there's a lot of things that people don't know about kids with autism. So one movement that we're trying to do and to start with the conversation is, let's say you see a child like Nate and he's out at a restaurant and he might say something loud, or he might have a little bit of a tantrum, or he might be crying. And a lot of times we immediately look at the mom or the dad and think, what have you done? Or what has the kid done? But it could just be overstimulation. So we as a society and a community have to just have some grace, instead of pointing the finger and getting angry or assuming, let's have some grace, because 1 in 6 are being born with autism every day. That being said, the world needs to change. And it's people like you, Tess, that help us change that world by educating.
Well, I hope so. That's our mission. And in a previous conversation, Holly, you said we try to teach that you must teach your children young and at the kitchen table that Nate and all of his friends are more like you than they are different. And so you've already given us so many lessons just throughout the course of this interview, but I want to know, what are some other lessons in disability you wish more parents would teach their children young?
Wow. I mean, the simplest, just to be kind. Just to be kind. Again, you don't come out of the womb with preconceived notions about people. You are taught these things. And we believe the majority are taught at home. Therefore, I always say, at the kitchen table, when you want something to talk about, why don't one day you talk about Down syndrome? And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, how about you just talk to your child about what they would do if they came across a child that might look a little different? What would they do? If they met a child at McDonald's that was blind with a cane, what would they say? Can they at least say hello? Can we start there? Can we start with, may I help you? Would you like to be my friend? Would you like to come sit at my lunch table? But lose the fear. And I think when your parents tell you it's okay to be kind, it's a lesson that you can keep for the rest of your life. There's nobody that I wouldn't help on the street.
Yes.
There's nobody that I'm afraid of. There might be some things that I still need to learn, but that's another lesson I want people to understand. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. We don't always have the right verbiage, and that's okay. But being kind will lead us everywhere, because kindness will get to acceptance. Kindness will get to inclusion. Kindness will get to appreciation,
Yes.
and everything else will follow. And that's all we ask for. We want equality,
yes.
right?
Yes.
You want the same opportunities as your friends.
Yes.
Pretty simple. But if you're 5 years old and you've never been taught that, you might be afraid. You might not know what to say to Nate.
Mm.
So we're going to teach you at the table to say hello,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And say, hey, you want to play ball with me?
Yes, I can.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And I think that's an especially important lesson because so often I think children are taught, don't stare, don't engage. You don't want to be disrespectful, but that's the wrong approach.
Right. That's funny you said that because we have a lot of friends in our community that might have disfigurement. And I was just on a live actually talking about it. So it becomes tricky. Okay. Because as humans, we do have fear and we fear what we don't know. So when there's something that is frightening to us, we stare or we look away or we put our head down. So I asked the moms, what would you like? What would you like? So when Nate was a baby, he had tubes through his nose to be fed. And the kids at the pool would always stare at me as I was feeding them. And I would say, it's okay. Come on, let me show you. And then I taught him about the NJ tube and the NG tube that he had. And they watched me and they were fascinated. But then their fear was gone. So it's okay to look, Tess. It's okay. We look at celebrities, right? We gawk, we stare, but ask a question. Don't just stare like you're like a disrespect and then walk away. Stare because he's beautiful. And then say, hi, what's your name? That's it. One question will change the trajectory of that person's life. One simple question, one simple hello, one act of kindness can change you and the person you're talking to.
Yes.
Yes.
We've seen it happen. It's a ripple effect, like everything in the world. And, it sounds so silly. Just be kind. But I think our world has forgotten that.
Yeah. And it's something that we need to remind people of because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to is kindness, right?
Right. Yes. And forgiveness. If you do something wrong and you say something wrong and someone is rude or says a terrible word, you forgive, you educate, and you move on. Right. We're also on the anti-bully campaign, and the End the R word campaign, Tess. We could be on here for hours. There's so many things to touch on. But again, it all boils down to the simple part of
love.
Yeah. We got to love each other again. We got to learn to respect each other. And realize he's just a human boy. He's a teenager, He likes the same thing as other teenagers. Tell Tess what you can't wait for.
I'm going to be 21.
And why is that?
Drink beer.
Just like his brothers. He wants to turn 21 and drink beer.
Yes.
And we're going to have one heck of a party for you.
Yes.
So people are like, really? Well, why wouldn't he? He's just a teenager. He's not a teenager anymore. You're 20. You're a man. So the world needs to change. And we're here to help.
And one great way that you do that is through TikTok. And so, Nate, you're known as the king of TikTok, and you've gained a huge following on there with over 650,000 followers and counting at Make Nate the Great. And so I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to others who are just getting started as TikTok creators?
Well, they need more love and support. They just need to be kind more.
It's true, right? No more bullies.
Right.
So Nate actually has his own page where he dances. So he has his very own platform where he dances. And I actually don't see them until they're published. So I'm
messages too.
Oh, you send messages?
Yeah.
Sometimes we overtag people. We're going to work on that. Okay. And his sister has an account with Nate as well. So we're actually the Make Nate the Great account is right. Yeah. It's 650,000, which is amazing. It's amazing. We started as a joke because my daughter told me I can't because I'm too old. And it was COVID. So she had, with the stuff in my closet Tess, we did what was it called?
Tiger King.
A Tiger King goof, like joke, all my clothes, which made it even funnier. And it blew up and it went viral. And I thought, okay, I could do this. I think I could do this.
Yeah.
So I literally turned the camera on, very first video, Nate's in the car. And I said, hey, Nate, if we wanted to help change the world, what would we need to do? And him and his beautiful baby blues turns to the camera and says,
love.
That was it. And it blew up like wildfire. And people were flooding us with He's beautiful.
Yes, I am.
He's humble. Yeah, not.
I know.
Yeah, he needs self-confidence.
I do have some.
You've got a ton. And his humor, they were shocked by his humor that, like, if people want to come and watch us on our page, he'll zing me out of nowhere. His timing. Well, when you were a little boy, you'd watch the Saturday Night Live reels. So his humor is spot on. And people say he should be in comedy, stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But I'm always afraid because I never know what's going to come out. And sometimes it's a little naughty, but it is what it is, right? He's 20. He's allowed.
I'm not ever naughty.
You're a little naughty.
No.
Once in a while, you're naughty.
No.
Yeah, you are. Be honest. A little bit. Okay. Well, he gets me good. Gets me good. Gets his sister, gets his brother, and it's okay. So the secret to people going on TikTok to me is, for one, be kind, because there's a lot of people on TikTok that are not. Stay out of drama, because it's rampant. Build a community of like-minded human beings like you, people that want to see a better world. Like, our platform has brought us people that want a better world. We've met huge influencers that just want to change lives with love and kindness. And I would have never met them if it wasn't for TikTok, real friends, people who I consider family, that literally have a mission to make it a better world. And then there's this fun stuff on there too. I go down I can spend hours going down that TikTok hole.
Me too.
Watching people eat and crazy stuff.
Yep.
But it's addicting, and it's that can be a trouble sometimes, right? When I want to go to bed and I'm on 3 hours. But there's so much good. There's so much good on there as well. We've met some incredible kids and adults with Down syndrome that are our friends now. We're going to see some in Nashville next week. So it helps build a community. If you're alone or you're lonely, you're not alone when you open an app like that. There's people just like you, learning, needing, and then someone like Nate jumps on and just tells you how much he loves you. I mean, can't get better than that.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you like to do on TikTok?
Just love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta be more than that.
No, just love.
And dance.
Yes.
And imitate country singers.
Yes.
Who's your favorite?
Luke Bryan.
Oh, it's because Luke called the house and Nate got to sing to him.
Wow.
Yes. And I got a standing ovation at the Grand Ole Opry.
Tell her.
I did.
You sure did. The whole Grand Ole Opry stood up to cheer on Nate.
Yes.
Wow. We had a family in Nashville, so that hits home for me especially.
Because your oldest sister just moved there.
So my oldest sister lives there.
We'll have to meet up there someday. We're going next week, actually.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, wherever we go in Nashville, this blows my mind. He's recognized everywhere. We were just in Florida, and the lady sitting next to us at a restaurant was like, "Didn't I just see you on TV?" But people everywhere, the airport, aren't you the king of TikTok? That blows us. That humbles us for sure. But when we're in Nashville, Nate, oh my God, it's Nate.
That doesn't surprise me a bit.
Tess, I gotta tell you, I guess just because I'm just that kind of person. It's just amazing. Like, I'm not like, I'll never get to the point where I'm satiated. Does that make sense? Like, where I'm like, oh my God, he's totally famous. I'm not that person at all. To me, it's no big deal, but I get it because there's kids like Nate that I am madly in love with, that if I saw on the street, I'd be like, God. So I get it, but he's just Nate to me, he's just Nate. Yeah. So I get a kick out of the fan base that he's grown. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that I wanted to ask you, what other social media influencers, whether they're on TikTok or otherwise, would you recommend following?
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. For definitely, we've got so many favorites. Candidly Kind. Her name is Grace. We're actually going to see her soon. Love her.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. Pinkertons.
Yes.
They are an incredibly large family, and they adopted, I believe it was 5 or 6 adults with Down syndrome. 6. Just, I'm in awe of them. Oh gosh. Taco Bell Queen. Her brother Ryan has autism. Might be my favorite human being in the world.
Me too.
Right?
Yes.
Taco Bell Queen.
Yes.
Gosh, you put me on the spot, Tess, but there's so many. And then there's, the little babies. I'm drawing a blank though at names. Can you think of anybody on TikTok with Down syndrome or autism that we love?
David.
Who's David?
Our friend.
Which one?
From TikTok.
Help me.
He's a kid.
Help me better.
He's a young man.
Oh, that didn't help. Okay, that didn't help. Chef Libby. He's David. Tell me more about David though. So I can.
His good hair.
Oh my gosh, I love David, but I don't know his handle. Oh, David's a sweet soul. So Chef Libby, though, he's a chef.
Right.
And he has Down syndrome, and they meet with a lot of negativity, which is disgusting. But he's got a huge following, and a lot of kids like Nate have their own little companies. So we follow all of them. Again, David is a chef. Candidly Kind, she paints and then puts them on shirts. There's another young man on TikTok that I can, if you want to follow me and PM me, I'll get you all their names. But he makes rugs. Grace Art is another name, and she just sent us a beautiful pack of cards that she painted. So our world is slowly turning into the fact that our kids can be anything and anyone that they want to be.
Yeah. Where should our listeners go to follow you, Nate?
On TikTok.
Mm-hmm. What's the name?
Make Nate the Great 2020.
And what's your own channel?
It is Nate Simon, the number 8.
So Nate Simon 8, and then it's Make Nate the Great. I think we lost 2020. I think it's just Make Nate the Great. Oh my goodness. And then there's Nate and Lindsay.
Yes.
And that's huge on Facebook and Instagram. Nate and Lindsay.
Yes.
And then of course follow 21 Pineapples.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, thank you. Thank you so much again. And before we close out the interview, I just want to ask you both, is there anything else you want our listeners to know?
What do you want to say?
Talk the whole time. Isn't there anything you want to say?
I do not.
I want people to truly test. It's really not profound. I wish I could come up with some sort of Buddha or Oprah, thing that has never been said before. But the truth is simple.
Yes.
He's just a young man, and he has the same desires as everybody else. And our world isn't set up to give them the same things. So us as parents are fighting so hard to get them there. And I often pray that before my time on earth is that's a country song. Before my time on earth is through, that I'll be able to see the changes that we're implementing, that it's a safer world for kids with disabilities, that it's, again, more inclusion, acceptance, awareness, and love. And that kids like Nate get, invited to birthday parties, and that they get invited to sleepovers. That would be my dream.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're getting there though.
Yes.
I promise.
Yes.
You got a pretty darn good life.
I do.
Well, Nate and Holly, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Tess.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Adventures in Accessibility. Tune in next time for another dive into the unknown.
Adventures in Accessibility is hosted by Tess Stanton, and Jessica Lucania is our sound engineer. This podcast is a project of the Rocky Mountain ADA Center and is funded under a grant from the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research, grant number 90DPAD0014. This production is intended solely for entertainment and informal guidance and should not be considered legal advice. The opinions expressed by guests are not necessarily held or endorsed by the Rocky Mountain ADA Center.